Hi, and welcome to Crypto Revolution. I'm William Woody. Now, first and foremost, once and always, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. You are going to make that decision like the responsible adult that I know you are. I am here to keep you updated and informed on the things you ought to research. Now, right now, gold is trading at an all-time high, and that far surpasses many of the most bullish forecasts for 2025 that were issued by any of the major Wall Street banks. Goldman Sachs raises end 2025 gold forecast to $3,700 an ounce, and gold prices are forecast to rise another 8% this year. Another article said gold price could hit $32.90 and silver could hit $43.50. But lower upside for platinum and palladium, says the LBMA survey. Gold and silver are having a breakout year, and it's happening because tariffs and wars have changed the way that dollars are used around the globe. Gold is hitting record highs, and silver is nearing a record in the hockey stick rally. Gold is approaching 4,000 an ounce. I'm just reading headlines from all over there. We are entering a very volatile era, where China, Russia, and their axis are finding ways to transact without the dollar, and the West is dealing with massive sovereign debt crises. Russia and China are talking about setting their own gold exchanges and cutting ties with Western control. Russia and China have dumped the dollar as Moscow is announcing new trade corridors. China is ditching the dollar fast. Now, there's a Eurozone sovereign debt crisis. ECB warns of fiscal and growth risks. Fitch downgrades crisis-strained France. Gold and silver's breakout 2025, leading all other major asset classes. And that has brought them to the forefront, and the demand from central banks is at a record high as well. Gold has been climbing all year. Articles are everywhere now into this boom in precious metals and in record central bank demand. I think I've just come across a Netflix versus Blockbuster moment. This could be one of the most monumental and significant developments in gold commodities we have ever seen. Everybody understands how Blockbuster's business model became totally obsolete and outdated when Netflix hit the scene and offered the exact same content, but through streaming. The mechanism of delivery dramatically improved, the product was upgraded, the experience of the end consumer was so positive, like night and day, that Blockbuster went out of business, and Netflix went from launching its first stream to becoming one of the largest companies on Earth, from $1 per share in 2022 to $1,200 per share today. Blockbuster turned down the opportunity to buy Netflix. Oh, how Blockbuster would be sad if it were still alive. Now, ETFs made gold trading accessible to a much larger audience in the 2000s, in much the same way that Blockbuster branches made movies accessible to cinema goers. But the next revolution, and you know how we feel about revolutions at Crypto Revolution, that could make the ETFs today obsolete or greatly challenged by better new competitors, might just be here. Gold is experiencing a bull market that has shocked many, and the available ETFs on the market right now turn away so many who don't trust the audits, who don't believe they're fully backed by underlying metals, or who live in dozens of countries where the ETFs are not available to trade. These are massive problems that the ETFs providers know are their weaknesses. The largest gold ETF manages more than $120 billion and growing that what I'm about to show you might be the biggest disruptor in their business model since its inception. As I said, the biggest weaknesses they face are doubts and not being fully backed, doubts about their auditing and underlying metal vaults, not being accessible to hundreds of millions of investors that reside in developing markets, and they charge a fee for managing. Billionaire tycoon Frank Guistra, along with who I consider to be mining legend Sean Roosen, are well aware of the opportunity in disrupting the current ETF providers with a fully backed, vaulted, audited, verified, yield-bearing financial product which could be accessible to the world over. And Frank Guistra just invested heavily to the tune of owning 17 million shares of a brand new, just listed NASDAQ company called Streamex, ticket symbol STEX, STEX, the sponsor of today's video, aiming to revolutionize the industry of owning precious metals and commodities in general by commercializing fully backed, vaulted, audited, and verified ownership of gold and other leading commodities. Again, ticket symbol STEX on the NASDAQ. Got that. This is a Netflix versus Blockbuster moment. In my view, it seems that billionaires like Frank Guistra, who own $90 million worth of STEX right now, agree. StreamX wants to do to commodities ETFs what Netflix did to movies and TV shows, what Apple did to music and phones. They want to dramatically improve the user experience and make it simpler, easier, and better, and offer it globally. Right now, StreamX is just lining up the last details before launching its first product, the fully backed, yield-bearing Gold One. On top of the major position of Frank Guistra, one of the premier entrepreneurs ever, owns the two co-founders. Each own 21 million shares, worth just north of $100 million. So significant skin in the game for the people leading the revolution. For years, I've been hearing from people that ETFs are not ideal for them, hard or impossible to trust because of the backing or the auditing of them, and sometimes because of the management fees and premiums. StreamX is launching a potential game changer, and if I compare it metaphorically to Netflix, this is like before they launched their first ever streaming, because StreamX is just about to launch their first product to the global market. The company has secured up to $1.1 billion in funding through a mix of equity, convertible debentures, and a line of credit led by Cantor Fitzgerald, the company that was run by Howard Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce, and now managed by his sons. Funding will allow the company to draw upon should purchase physical gold to back their products, as well as to likely add to their own balance sheet. In other words, StreamX, ticker STEX, on the NASDAQ would very likely be one of the first publicly traded companies to own gold on their books. This is a very welcome change. Their vision is to launch several gold products and then expand to silver and others. Commodities are ripe for a fintech revolution compared with today's ETFs. For years I've heard, even from Warren Buffett, that owning gold does not earn a yield. And now StreamX has pioneered a product that will produce yield, and the owner will essentially get paid to own gold. The proprietary platform StreamX developed attracted as their chief investment officer, Mr. Mitchell Williams, who not only ran WAFRA, the Kuwaiti Sovereign Wealth Fund, but was also one of the sole portfolio managers for Oppenheimer's flagship fund. The yield-bearing token is a partnership with Monetary Metals, one of the behemoths in the gold leasing industry. The platform itself was developed by the same software experts that built cybersecurity and infrastructure for Capital One Bank, Bank of America, and JP Morgan's credit card processing infrastructure business, one of the largest fintech platforms in the world. The token is going to be on Solana's Coinbase blockchain, and as you well know, tokenization of real-world assets is the biggest and most important financial disruption of our time. So, my goodness, this is a Netflix versus Blockbuster moment, Nokia versus iPhone moment. I want to make sure you are fully aware of this at the ground floor, because we know the drawbacks of the current ETFs. We all know the gold bull market has set its price to the highest ever, and that Frank Guistra has positioned it in StreamX to the tune of 90 million USD. Before they launch their first product, which is coming in short order, Cantor Fitzgerald was instrumental in securing up to $1.1 billion in financing for StreamX to draw upon and begin purchasing physical gold bars. StreamX seeks to be a fintech tokenization giant, basically. This is inception, and a major revolution could be underway. Do your research on StreamX, which looks to disrupt the current giants in commodities ETFs with fully backed, audited, and verified ownership, redeemable, and secured. Links are in the description. Thanks for watching. Check it out, and I'll see you at the revolution.